It's not that you don't do anything unique. It's just that you don't know yet what your unique differentiator is and how your brand stands apart. And that's what a brand strategy does for you.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 129, and today we're talking about what comes first, SEO or branding.
Chicken or the egg?
Yeah, right. It's a question we get asked a lot, especially on inquiry calls, because there's a lot of times where people want both. And we're going to talk about this later, like, can you do both at the same time? But sometimes people need to prioritize. So we don't always have the same answer for this.
No, it actually varies every time somebody asks us. It really kind of depends on where they are in their journey. So it's never a solid, you have to start with SEO, or solid, you have to start with branding. It really depends on where they are with their business.
Yeah. And usually we'll share our opinions, but I'd also say there's probably not a wrong answer. It's just things to be cautious of too. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of walk through how we make this decision. Because if you're in the space where you're like, okay, I need to step up my marketing, I know I need to make a difference, I just am not sure where to start or what's going to bring in the most sales, the most leads, whatever that may be, because both will do that for you. Mm-hmm. It just depends on where you are in your journey and what you need.
Yes. So if you're starting with branding, if your branding is super unclear and you have absolutely no strategy behind it, we always suggest your branding should come first, especially if you are not sure who you're talking to, not sure what your brand voice or tone is, not sure what those keywords are that you should be using within your brand strategy. So a lot of that brand strategy actually helps to define those keywords, and therefore will help Abby to implement your SEO later down the road. But if you don't know who you're talking to, who you're targeting, who your competitors are, what that language is that you should be using within your brand, then you probably really want to start with branding, because you want that solid foundation before you start to flesh out your SEO.
Yeah. And we're not in the business of doing boring keyword research when we do SEO strategies. There's always the low hanging fruit of who you are, what you offer, what you do. That is a keyword, of course. But everyone else you compete with is also using those keywords. Yes. So how can we have some descriptors, some things that differentiate you in that space? Or are there whole different keywords altogether that can help drive the right people to you? And if we don't have a clear strategy, we can't get that granular, and we can't really create a unique SEO approach to that keyword research. So there's a lot of questions that we ask in our questionnaire where we ask who your audience is. Can you describe them and everything that they are, what their pain points are, what they struggle with, what they're looking for. Also asking, what makes you different? What makes you unique? And if you can't answer that question, it's not that you don't do anything unique. It's just that you don't know yet what your unique differentiator is and how your brand stands apart. And that's what a brand strategy does for you. So that's usually where we start, because that brand strategy can help define your voice, your personality. And if you're kind of unclear too, we're not talking about your logo.
No.
We're talking about the strategy behind it. And we have an episode, if you go all the way back to episode 7, that's a long time ago. We talked about the difference between brand strategy and brand design. So tune into that one, because that one kind of breaks down the difference. But here we're really talking about that mission, that vision, your personality, your voice, how you describe what you do, like something as clear as a I help statement or an elevator pitch. Like All of that stuff will provide clarity in the SEO research that we do.
Yeah, yeah. And it provides clarity on how you should move forward with your brand, right? So it can start answering questions that you didn't even know you had that question to. So I think it's just that clarity of your brand and who it is you're speaking to, who you want to drive traffic to your website. Like, who do you want? What are they Googling? How are they getting to your site? Who do you want to land on your site and how do you convert them? I think a lot of that brand strategy helps answer that. And when we get inquiry calls and they're like, I don't know I don't know what people are Googling, or I don't know what they should be looking up to find my brand. And I think that brand strategy really helps to define that. And again, like Abby said, I think when we get on those calls with people are like, well, I have a logo and I have colors and fonts, so I don't need the branding yet. I think we should start with SEO. And we're like, that's great. You have like the brand visuals, but do you have the strategy? So sometimes it's really talking about that strategy and defining what that strategy piece is, because a lot of people think, oh, I've got a brand, so I need the SEO first, but that's not always the case.
Yeah. So on the flip side, there's sometimes people who they do have a lot of clarity. Like I read questionnaires. Lately, I actually posted a story recently saying that I'm going to start doing it on my treadmill because sometimes people send me really great questionnaires and I want to read through every detail. And when I consume, I'm not like a skimmer reader. I don't know how you read. Do you read like?
Oh, I am a skimmer.
Are you?
For sure. Yeah.
My husband's a skimmer and he'll like read books so fast. And I like every word. I read every word and then I like go back if I didn't quite understand it or if I was like in my head reading something else. So I do that in questionnaires. So I'm like, I'm going to start doing this on the treadmill so that I'm walking while I read the questionnaires, which is great. But sometimes people send the questionnaires just chock full of so much detail about their audience, about their competitors, about their differentiators, and they're very clear in their strategy. And even if they don't love their visuals, sometimes the right answer can still be SEO first. So as long as you have that clarity on the strategy, because SEO does take time, and we'll talk about this later about how branding can kind of be a little bit quicker, but SEO takes longer. So if you need things to start working quickly, so say quickly, like I'm using quotations
like
here.
a couple months.
Yeah, like 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Say your busy season is in 4 to 6 months. You want to start thinking about SEO now because it's going to take that long to gain traction, if not longer. So that's something where we always ask, like, what your goals are. What are you planning to do? Like, are you going into busy season? Are you coming out of it? Like, how can we think about that from an SEO strategy? And that can help us decide which ones come first. But if you do have a lot of really good clarity, you feel like you can fill out a questionnaire like that with just oodles of information, then you're probably ready for SEO. And that can be a really good strategy to dive into, especially if you haven't done that at all from a marketing standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And to touch on Abby's point with the branding, the thing about branding is that once it's built, it's kind of built and there for you and ready for you to launch it however you see fit. But it's that strategy, once we get that defined, really that is set, right? It's unless if you change your business drastically in the next couple of months after that, but we've got that strategy defined. We've got your core audience, how you're speaking to them, where you're speaking to them. All of your visuals is included in that as well. But once that's set and defined, you can take that and start implementing that within your marketing strategies and within your website and bringing in those keywords and all of that stuff. So the branding typically is a one and done, and it is once it's done for you, it should start working for you once you have it out there in the world. But where SEO is once Abby's done implementing your SEO, again, it can take 4 to 6 months. It can maybe even take a little bit longer. It all it's a little bit of a waiting game, whereas branding, it's done, you have your stuff, you can start running with it. So that's where, again, it's kind of based on your goals, based on your timeline. We can get that branding done a little bit faster, but just knowing that SEO is going to take a while for that to start kicking in.
Yeah. And the branding too, like it also depends on how big of a rebrand or just a brand in general you're doing, because there's a lot of things that have to happen after, right? From like collateral, website. But like once you get that out into the world, honestly, we've seen this happen with our own business and we've seen this happen with our clients who've rebranded too. People are like, wow, I just got like more sales or more leads like instantly just by announcing my rebrand. And that's not a coincidence. Like that happens because you've aligned with your audience and because they're connecting with you in a new way and you've just drawn them in and got excitement too. People are sharing your content because you rebranded, like your business friends, all the people you know. It's a really good marketing strategy. If you don't have a brand that feels aligned with you, it can be a really good way to like boost your leads. It's an investment for sure, but it's definitely something that I don't think I've ever heard of anyone rebranding and being like, oh,
That was the wrong.
I got
move,
crickets.
or- right. Exactly. Yep.
So another thing that you can do too, if you're listening to this and you're like, still, I'm not really sure which one, peeking at your analytics and just kind of seeing how things are performing on the back end. Google Analytics is probably where I'd recommend peeking. You can check in the acquisitions section of your reports to see where your traffic is coming from. And that can tell you, like, are you getting any traffic from search right now? And if the answer is no, then think of like the world of opportunity that's out there of all the people that are looking for you and can't find you. And if you're getting traffic from other sources, that can be a good sign that like your branding might be working, like people are coming to you, but SEO just isn't working for you. So it can provide a little bit of clarity on that. But you also have to ask yourself, okay, are people finding me? Like, say tons of people are finding you, but you're not getting leads and you're not getting sales. Then something's off. Like, what's off here? Is it that when they get to your page, they're not having the experience that they want?
Mhm.
Is it the way our copy is written? Is it the way that we are communicating? Is it the look of our website? Like sometimes an outdated website can be enough for someone to hit the back button and go back somewhere. So asking yourself those questions and even like asking your audience if you're not sure too, like take the audience you have and kind of ask them like, hey, why, like what's holding you back from purchasing? Sometimes that can provide a lot of clarity in what to do next.
And I think looking at your competitors too from a brand perspective also, and like what that user experience is when you land on their website, like what is it that's grabbing your attention and makes you maybe want to convert or buy or, go with that person for a service or whatever it might be. What is it that they might be doing a little bit better or different than you? And how can you implement that into your brand and that experience? And I think a lot of that too is brand consistency. I think, if I find you on Instagram and then I jump to your website and there's this huge disconnect, whether it be visually or the tone of voice or what you're selling me, if there's that huge disconnect, I'm probably going to freeze for a second and be like, what's going on here? Like, this doesn't feel the same. And then that's going to make me question if I want to buy or convert or whatever that might be. So making sure too that you have that brand consistency. And if that's something that you're struggling with, branding might be something you want to do first because you want that user experience to be really fun and flawless in order to catch their attention and keep them on your site or on your Instagram or wherever it may be.
Yeah. I have kind of like a hot take because I feel like this happens quite a bit. And people basically inquire with us and they are ready to go to the next level. Like they're ready for luxury clients, high investing clients. They want to increase their prices, increase their packages. And so they come to us for SEO and they inquire about SEO. And I go to their website and I take one look at it and I know just by looking at it that that is not going to drive high quality
Leads.
high quality leads who are ready for like luxury clients. And if you're still working with the same website you started with, it's likely not going to be this high end unless, you spent oodles of money in the beginning, but I'd say that doesn't normally happen. But that's something that you can show up for the right keyword on Google and we can optimize for certain keywords to drive people to you. But look at everyone else on that page. Go to their website and see what that experience is like. And then go to your website and see if that experience can match that. Because it's not just about the right keyword bringing you to your website and all of a sudden you're going to get leads because someone is searching for luxury wedding design or luxury this or luxury that, So that's super important. Like you have to look how you want to attract your people.
Exactly. Yep. I love that. And I think some of the times too, Abby and I can tell just right away by peeking at somebody's site whether or not they should go branding first versus SEO. And that visual and the way you show up and the way you speak has so much power too, where I feel like people lose that disconnect because they think, oh, people are searching for this. I need excuse me, I need to pop up on this, the search page for these things because those are the people that I want to drive traffic to my website. And it's like, that's great and all, but if you have a poor website experience or you're not reflecting what you are trying to attract, you're going to lose those people no matter what. You could have the best SEO, you could rank number one for everything, but if you're not converting because you're not showing up the way that you sound or the way that you want to show up and people that you're trying to attract, you're going to lose them.
Yeah. And I've talked with plenty of clients who are like, oh, I worked with someone in SEO and like they told me their only goal was to drive traffic. And it's like, no, like that shouldn't be your only goal from an SEO perspective. And if you're working with someone on SEO who's telling you that, like, please don't work with them anymore.
Come to us.
Yeah. Because like I would rather you get less traffic and more leads, because it's not about just trying to rank for the highest volume keyword. It's about ranking for your audience that's searching for you. So that's super important too. And yeah, I'd say you just kind of, between all of this, you just kind of have to ask yourself those questions of like, is my brand visually and in the strategy sense, like the personality, where I'm going, what my unique difference is, does all of that feel clear to my audience? And if not, then you likely need to start with branding.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you feel like you have clarity there, people just aren't able to find you, then SEO is absolutely the answer.
Or if you feel like you have even just a little bit of clarity there, because I think some of the clients that come to us, they have some clarity, but they're like, I've got some brand clarity and I don't hate my visuals. I do kind of want to rebrand and to get a little bit clearer on this, but I'm kind of okay where I am now. I'd rather start with SEO and come back later for a rebrand. Mm-hmm. That's fine too.
Yeah.
We've talked to clients about that too and kind of like suggested, yep, then SEO is first. But if you, like Abby said, literally have no clarity around your brand strategy, your visuals aren't appealing or aren't attracting who you want, or you have inconsistency, or it's not a great user experience, then we highly suggest starting with branding.
Yeah, for sure. And the question we also get is, can you do both? Absolutely. We do both all the time. I mean, it's awesome when you have the budget to do both because you can really just do it all at one time. You're going to provide all that clarity for your audience and for those people who are finding you. So yeah, you can absolutely do both. And usually how we dual path it is like starting with the visuals in the strategy. And then once that is like halfway through, we start with the keyword research. So that process is all really seamless and we're using the strategy to guide the research, which is really nice.
Yeah. I actually think it's like our absolute favorite when a client's like, yes, let's do both. Because Abby and I are like, heck yes. Like we get to like really build this brand and take it to that next level together. And that's just really exciting to see that whole transformation come together. And again, like Abby said, we just recently had a client where we did, her website, her SEO, her visuals, and she just like started booming. And it was really exciting to see that change and how that growth started to happen fairly quickly for her when everything was wrapped up.
Yeah. We say this all the time, that if no one can find your website, what's the point? But on the flip side, if everyone can find your website and it sucks, what's the point?
Right. So yeah,
it's kind of hand in hand. And we understand the budget aspect and you have to start somewhere, which is why we have these conversations one-on-one with each client, because we know that your situation is so unique in where you need to start and why you need to start. And we don't just look at like, oh, we don't like your branding. Like that's never how we approach it. It's like, just because everyone has their own preference that piece of it doesn't matter. It's more about, where do you need to be in the next 6 months? Like, let's figure out what makes sense for you and how we can set you up for success, because there's such a bigger picture than just choosing the strategy or the investment you want to make.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you are wondering and you're like, I wonder if my brand is strong enough, go back and listen to episode 126. This was just a few episodes ago. We did an episode on, does your branding pass this test, so that you can kind of check the strength of your brand, specifically your brand strategy. So go tune into that episode if you haven't yet. And obviously, if you are in this position where you're like, branding or SEO, what do I need? Just book a call with us. We'd love to chat with you and kind of walk you through which one would make the most sense for you based on your unique situation. So we'd love to hear from you.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.